And now if we understand basically what is industry, what is the consequential urbanization, now that we understand what is the idea behind India's evolution and its experience of modern industrialization, we must also talk about contemporary times, the modern day time today. What is going on with the world and specifically India in today's period? We know that we have moved away from globalization 1, 2, and 3, and 4, only to enter towards a new wave of globalization 5.0. We know that we have moved far away now from being a industrial manufacturing economy to an economy which is known as a service sector economy. And hence this phenomena where a society changes from making goods and services only to now making services is known as a post-industrial society. This is the most modern form of industrialization that we get to see. It is naturally a result of the new fourth wave of industrialization, and at the heart of this is globalization. Why? Because it is only through globalization that there is a better networking among people of different economies. Through globalization, there is a much better development of the data revolution, as you call it. This has not only created India as a service sector economy, but it is also sometimes known as the knowledge economy, and some people also have called it the weightless economy. It is completely based on the pillars of globalization, the pillars of technological development, the pillars of telemigration, and again the pillars of data revolution. Now, who really coined or created the word post-industrial? So the credit goes to American sociologist and economic thinker Daniel Bell. He defines the phenomena as a society that is characterized by a change from only goods-based economy to now a service-based economy. This completely transformed the social fabric of society. So, what are certain important determinants or features of post-industrial society? How do we decide whether a given society certain important characteristics, as per the thinker Daniel Bell, are entire workforce or the labor force is now changing from producing goods, consumer goods, fast-moving consumer goods, to creating services. Services like the hospitality industry, the restaurants, the salons, the gyms that we talk about, aviation sector, e-commerce sector is catching up in a big way. Similarly, also software services. So these are invisible, intangible services, and that's why we also call this the weightless economy. It's only based on knowledge. So hence, this major change is a characteristic of post-industrial society. Another visible change is that blue-collar labor is slowly replaced by white-collar and pink-collar professions, which means that manual labor, or labor which demands a very high degree of physical work, construction or manufacturing by using hands or running heavy machinery, this is slowly replaced by jobs which are very technical and very professional in nature. They are highly specialized jobs which cater to the global market now, not just to the domestic market. Now, very interestingly, a lot of us believe that unless we know the theory, we cannot do the practical. We all have heard that from the childhood. But ironically, a very interesting part of the post-industrial society is that here, practical knowledge, whatever has been done so far in the manufacturing sector, whatever has been done so far in the production of goods and consumer essentials, is now getting converted into theoretical aspect of knowledge. Which means from the practical application to now, the theoretical knowledge is what is being used for this modern day weightless economy. This knowledge has become the root of more innovation, more invention. When we talk about the blockchain revolution, which India is talking about now, decentralizing internet. People are talking about the 5G revolution that's about to take place. We are talking about the third web revolution. What is going on? Slowly, things are becoming abstract. We are moving into a domain where everything is virtual. And that's a very important characteristic of your knowledge economy. Now, you must have studied that capital is also of three kinds: economic, social, and financial. Financial capital is your asset and money or property that you have. Naturally, it undergoes a major change in the post industrial period. The economy, from being a cash based economy to a cashless digital economy, is a very good example here. Another thing is human capital. Earlier, people who were able bodied and who were semi skilled or barely skilled could also find jobs easily. But today, it's not true. Today, unless you have a very high degree of certification, knowledge, into big data, into software, into cyber law, it's very difficult to find a good job because you know that you need to cater into innovation sector. And hence the new skills that are being demanded and the expertise is what is changing human capital. Similarly, social capital is also changing. Now, gone are the days where people will actually sit together every week or every day and talk. They will write mails to each other or letters to each other. Even that era is over. Now everyone is in touch through social media platforms or tele-networking. So which means that social capital, how we relate to the people around us, how we build our networks as humans has also undergone a change. We are not only socializing with the people whom we know, but we are also socializing with those whom we do not. So barriers are also being overcome when you talk about social connections. And now from industrial technology, we talk about intellectual technology. The jobs that are in demand today are based on STEM skills, science, technology, engineering, mathematics skills, software, simulations, all these are the demand of the day. And hence, we talk about the new stratification system as well. The rise of new tech elites, the techies who are the new rulers of modern day society. You could talk about Elon Musk, you could talk about Mark Zuckerberg, because you know the sheer importance of Facebook as not a medium of social interaction only, but also a medium through which people are accessing livelihoods. Similarly, you could talk about Jeff Bezos. A few names to remind us that how today intellectual capital is most important. Similarly, you could talk about the Indian knowledge elites like Sir APJ Abdul Kalam, or you could talk about Nandan Nilekani or E.S. Sridharan. So you know that the new stratification system, let alone the shift from caste to class. But today, even that class shift has assumed a new dimension. Today, the difference is only between the tech elites, the knowledge elites, and the people who can serve them directly. Generally, the tele-migrants and the super specialized workers. So these will be at the top of the society, and the ones who do not possess these skills will be the ones who will sink back to the bottom rung of the society. So it's not just money, but it's the knowledge and technical expertise which is determining the new social stratification system in the post-industrial era. Now, alongside there is a massive urbanization. You know that as per the reports of United Nations, by 2050, a majority urbanization is poised to happen either in Asia or in Africa. Why? Because we know that here there is maximum human resource available, there is space available, and hence you know that in the coming period, world is moving towards urbanization. The most industrial nations are already 80% urbanized. With regards to certain developing economies like Asia, still we are in the process of urbanizing, and hence there are many more newly industrialized countries that are joining the team. Similarly, we talk about globalization, globalization. Now, in terms of culture, we know that the world is becoming integrated because of globalization. At the same time, it has created culture homogeneity like never before. Because now most societies of the world are following the same customs, food, clothing, and rituals of the Western countries. The use of English language and the fast consumption of junk food and the quick absorption of Western movies, Netflix, Amazon Prime series is a valid example of how homogenized people are becoming in various societies. Today, they share global ethos, not just their own local traditions, but they are all following global values. Similarly, homogeneity is being challenged at the same time by the forces of globalization, which means everything that is global in nature. The culture, the music, the clothing, the food is now being accustomed or customized to suit the need of the local consumer. The example could be Amazon.in and not Amazon.com, Google.in, not Google.com. Another very good example could be McDonald's, which is serving veg burger in India, but in US, no veg burger. Similarly, KFC selling the typical very, very spicy veg burger in India, which is not happening in the case of other countries. Why? Because the same global products are now being twisted to accommodate the need of Indian consumer. Why? Because so that Indian consumer is able to accept it more easily and not reject it. So again, homogenization on the one hand and globalization on the one hand are two dominant forces which are together working to create the cultural hybrid of which all of us are members. Some Indian, some foreign. That's how a typical culture now is defined, whether you see any nation of the world. Now we can talk about the online digi revolution where everybody has data. How is it changing our interaction? Naturally, our interaction is becoming very, very faceless now. We do conduct chatting, talking, messaging, and videos with people, but generally it's happening at a very impersonal level because we are not physically present over there. So everything is happening in virtual reality. That's a new dimension of data revolution. Similarly, even identity. If you talk about identity of your own, and if you talk about the identity of your group. Now, this identity is also being determined by social media now because we see other people, other groups, and we try to copy their behavior, we get inspired by them, and hence identity also has now been outsourced to social media. Similarly, family, as I said, is a very specialized unit now. We have food catering services like Swiggy, Zomato, and then we have other service providers like Amazon, online e-marketplaces where you can get your needs satisfied. A very consumerist culture, which is totally about mindless consumerism. The 3D printing again has taken the world by a shock. Now it's very, very evident application is seen in the world of health and medical care, where people who need artificial limbs, now the limbs for the amputees are being customized by taking their own body measurements and through using better technology of skin grafting, and they're exactly made to fit people who need them. Again, a very, very valid reminder of how technology feeds into everyday lives. Big data revolution, you must have heard that data is the new gold. To sell their products and services better, all multinationals are hungry behind consumer database. They all want to know the consumer details in order to do target marketing or customized marketing for people. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, the fear that robotics will take over the world. The fact that we are talking about driverless cars, we are talking about doctorless operations and surgeries. Why? Because robotics is again feeding into everything. On the one hand, definitely it helps you in achieving operations of scale. On the other hand, the problem is that slowly it is also creating a culture of alienation for human beings. The blockchain revolution that's upcoming, the third web, which is ensuring that now internet becomes much more decentralized. People directly can interact with each other. They can write content without the need of any other outside platform. So this ability to participate in the internet is a characteristic feature of the blockchain technology. Eventually, virtual reality is taking a very important place in human life. Talking about Industrial Revolution 4.0, the World Economic Forum has opened the center for fourth industrial revolution in India only after US, Japan, as well as China. So now we are talking about the smart equipment, the smart digitization, the sensor-based model of infrastructure, wherein we have smart appliances, smart homes, which are run through robotics, artificial intelligence. At the click of a button, you can actually run your entire household. You can drive a car. The similar concept is applicable to cities. You know that India adopted the smart city mission, where a massive infrastructure rehauling was thought of creating sensors at traffic signals, of creating sensors into public transportation. So all these mean that we are way more dependent now on technological innovation for our day-to-day lives. This also promotes the use and throw culture, however, which is again a massive ecological and cultural threat as per a lot of people. Because quick consumption and then quick disposal is adding up to the problem of solid waste and it's endangering the ecosystem. Apart from that, the quick use and throw culture also creates a kind of life which is completely dependent upon the use of consumables, which is very materialistic in its orientation, which is absolutely remote from things like deep family connections, interpersonal connections, and hence the economic as well as the psychological crisis in which the modern individual seems to be surviving. So all of these are interconnected consequences of this smart virtual reality that we are a part of. Now, the fourth industrial revolution is nothing but a chain of consequence which began with the first industrial revolution that was about introduction of machine power and steam engine and how it transformed the work process from simple family-oriented work to a factory system. The second one, which enabled better specialization of work by dividing work into assembly lines, by doing a division of labor to achieve maximum efficiency. While the third one spoke about the digital revolution, it talks about the importance being given to machinery, automation, mechanization, and the IT revolution. And now the fourth and the ongoing revolution is completely about application of the smart technology into our day-to-day lives. Similarly, Indian government is also not behind when it comes to adapting to the new pace of industrial and technological change. We talk about the Samarth Udyog Bharat 4.0, which means capable India. It has been launched by the Department of Heavy Industries under the Heavy Industry and Public Enterprises Ministry. And the intention is that government is now trying to use maximum technology for providing solutions into the problems that's being faced by Indian manufacturing sector. Now, India has a very huge potential of becoming a manufacturing hub just like China, but still we have not been able to achieve this. So possibly a smart technology and technological solutions would help in achieving that aim. There are certain important features under the Samarth Udyog Bharat 4.0 mission. Some of them are to create better awareness regarding adoption and the trend of smart technology. The people who are in charge of running institutions should be properly trained and equipped with this technology. The government will further promote ease of doing business. It will help the small and medium scale enterprises to expand business at a very nominal cost. Startup culture and ecosystem will be again promoted. Plus, education and market linkage will be created. Specialized technical institute and universities shall be roped in to guide people to undertake internship programs so that Indian students are more employable. They have better technological skills tomorrow to find more employment in the global market. Now, this reminds me of the Kerala government. The Kerala government has recently tied up with the company LinkedIn to train the students in various universities so that they can accordingly upgrade their skills regarding the market demand for good jobs. The government is also organizing a better industrial growth on a very sustainable pattern. Adequate management for the e-waste system, creating many possible clusters for capital goods. And similarly, we also have many other initiatives to further encourage Industry 4.0. For example, the Digital India Initiative. We know the smart city model that we spoke about, of finding smart technological solutions to the daily routine problems of city, management of solid waste, management of traffic, and other infrastructure. Similarly, the Make in India initiative or the Atmanirbhar Bharat, where we need to train people into not only vocational skills but also as self-employed entrepreneurs so that maximum manufacturing takes place within the country. Besides e-governance and with the use of Internet of Things, the government has an ambitious plan of grabbing literally 20% of the global market share in the coming half a decade. Certain other related initiatives could be the PLI scheme, the production linked incentive scheme, the importance being given to the 5G data trials in India as a part of Digital India mission. A very valid example could be Andhra Pradesh government's model of setting up many Internet of Things hubs to create better employment opportunities to a lot of people. And on a very promising note, out of total 130 economies included in the Network Readiness Index of 2022, India has achieved the 61st slot, which means there is a huge acceptability in the country among the market sector, among the manufacturing sector, and as well as within the government to adopt the Internet of Things and information communication technology for creating a smart society in general. Now, Network Readiness Index works across various parameters such as technology, people, governance, impact, and how really within a country people have access to the right technology to adapt future technologies. Similarly, how does it contribute towards inclusion and not digital divide? So that technology can be spread and diffused among many more people in the remote areas, rural segments of population, illiterate segment of population, so that we are able to achieve the sustainable development goals regarding inclusivity in economic growth. So across these various parameters, India has achieved, say for example, 47 slots when it comes to technology, when it comes to people's inclusion of technology, acceptability, it is 50, governance 50, and the total impact. So the index is very promising, but also shows that many more things we need to adopt to work towards this more sustainable and more inclusive smart revolution. Now, across many sectors, India has adopted already the smart technology in lines of the fourth wave of industrial revolution. For example, the fast-moving consumer goods such as cobots, robots which are working along with laborers in the industries under human supervision to make work easier and more efficient. Similarly, in the telecommunication industry, the brand Vodafone is offering many Internet of Things solutions across sectors like vehicle, into creating smart cities, healthcare, and allied sectors. A very good example in medical science could be the smart glucometer, which enables patients of diabetes to monitor their blood sugar levels at the click of a button, really quickly and at various times of the day. Now, this has really improved the quality of life for a major segment of population. Similarly, the blood pressure monitoring machines, and as we said, the more involvement of smart technology into creating artificial limbs and organs. Now, the government is also moving towards the technology of xenotransplantation, if you've heard about it, which means transplanting tissues, cells, and organs of different living species among each other. For example, for humans, a lot of experiments from chimpanzee organs were done. The ongoing is the pig organ, hearts, kidneys. How sustainable is that? Again, smart technology plays a major role here. Similarly, the smart factory of Bengaluru, where many industrial hubs are working through data exchange and Internet of Things in the manufacturing domain. However, the path is a long one. There are a lot of problems, and the biggest one being the skill gap and digital divide. Now, we know that the India workforce is also divided in the industry between the organized and the unorganized sector. Now, people who are the blue collar workers, they are the ones who have not got the maximum benefit even through the GIG economy or the platform work, let alone through smart technology, because of poor skill, because of lack of higher education. So, a very rapid and important solution could be an education that is also smart completely, which is designed to make people more employable. For a major segment of population who still are not mobile phone users, who are still not the data users, for them to adopt these kinds of technology and solutions becomes very challenging. So not only do we need to initiate policies for creating this technology, but also we have to make the population ready for adopting this technology. Otherwise, the digital divide will further keep on increasing. Similarly, cybersecurity could be a major concern. We know that a lot of hacking and a lot of data theft is what is happening across most modern day economies. Now, this puts the country in danger because a lot of personal information of users, companies, government is also vulnerable. So, adequate laws to protect that, to maintain privacy, to inhibit piracy, these are certain important targets that should be taken care of. An education system that is created on the smart technology model, wherein from the schools and colleges, children are familiar with usage of Internet of Things built into various things, the smart classroom or the online education, sports. It has multiple applications, attendance regulation, leave policy. A lot of things would be also created around IoT so that future children are familiar with technology. Similarly, funding from business houses, since it's an ongoing development, is again something that needs to be thought of. For a lot of business houses, it is too soon to invest into it because still it is evolving, and how much is it prepared to be adopted by people could be another area of concern. Then, political will on the part of the government. These things are certain important obstacles in the future of smooth adoption of smart technology. And hence, if we were to criticize the post industrial society, of course, we have the functional viewpoint which says it is good for us, the positives. For example, Immanuel Durkheim. So, what would he say? It creates increased mobility, which means it creates a very open stratification system because your status is not ascribed but it is achieved. You can change it if you are educated, skilled, and ready to adopt the fastest technology revolution. It creates value for skill and knowledge, yes. If you are skilled and you are knowledgeable, you are an expert, then it will be in robotics, in artificial intelligence, in big data, in software, then there is a very good market value for your skill. Another thing is it has made life easy, yes, from using the glucometer to the BP machine to the artificial limbs to the robot driven manufacturing centers to the automated sensors in various public institutions. It has definitely made life very easy. How much will it make life easy for the differently abled people or people with disabilities? Whether it will create true inclusion is yet to be seen. Next is it creates a culture of more diversity and openness. Why? Because now you are driven by rationality, empiricism, just like Weber says. That rationalization is something which is a natural consequence of industrialization. So people do not think now in terms of mystification or in terms of myths or superstitions, but they are more secularized and they are thinking in terms of science and logic. Similarly, since it creates life easy for people, there is a much better interconnectivity, more fluid interaction between people of society. Workplaces and office places are becoming better. Services in the hospitality industry are becoming highly personalized as per the need and demand of the consumer. And work flexibility. I told you about the tele-migrants. Now, these are the new people who are ruling the society because they are highly skilled and they are very, very adoptive of smart technology. So they are working for companies in remote areas of the world, but within the comfort of their home because they are only migrating intellectually, they are not migrating physically. So telemigration is also a very important consequence of data revolution, industrialization, alongside platform and GIG work, which is also enabling many more opportunities for women to work and improve in terms of their earning capacity. However, if we say the dice functional analysis, which also means a critical analysis, then we would agree that it has definitely further only increased inequalities among people. So for that segment of society where still primary education and secondary education is not something that they are achieving, talking about the STEM education, talking about the smart technology is a very remote dream that seems very, very farcical. Then if you talk about education system becoming more sophisticated, it obviously means that you are talking about privatization in education, which again is not exclusive in nature at all. Now, how many schools today are doing the social initiative of taking the smart classroom to the poor communities, to the children of the villages, to the children in remote areas, or to people with different abilities, or to people who have different intellectual abilities? How many of schools and colleges and universities would do that, which means it is simply only increasing the divide. When you're making technology more difficult to learn, you are also depriving so many others from adopting it very fast. Plus, you are also creating the phenomenon of ageism in society, which means a kind of inherent bias towards people above 60. That since they are outdated and they have not been educated in this IoT and smart technology, they probably cannot adapt very fast to it. So these people, despite being very you can say well-read, knowledgeable, experienced, and highly skilled are not able to contribute in the modern day economy and workforce. Why? Because of the digital divide again. Similarly, it impacts your culture and society. Why? Because it definitely erodes your traditions. Now, because of this technology, the world is becoming one society, homogenization, which means your traditional, typical family, religion, culture values are something you are forgetting behind. All corporate workers would talk in English or they would talk in the language of computer programming or data. How many of them would actually relate well to their own regional languages? How many of their children will adapt their own mother tongue, their own typical lifestyle is yet to be seen. Similarly, the typical problems of poverty, overpopulation, ecological degradation is only increasing. But look at the problem of e-waste again. Now, that is not something a lot of people would choose to talk about because obviously people focus more on the pros rather than on the cons. But it is definitely creating a very artificial society. It exists more in virtual domain than in physical domain. So this also creates a lot of anomaly in the terms of milder crime because it is killing day by day the mechanical solidarity or the unity with which people used to coexist earlier. Similarly, in the name of creating economic prosperity, you are making people unnecessarily more materialistic. Today, we know we are using so many things which we were not even needing a few years before. The smartwatch, the smart mobile phone, the very tiny and the sleekest laptop, the very smart television that we are using, automated air conditioning, robots to clean our homes. We know that these are things we could well survive without. Now, much before the pandemic came, we know that people could go out and get their own things from the market. So, this electronic marketing, all these things are also creating a shallow need which was not even a reality few ages before. So, absolutely, it is making people more materialistic. Then, Ivan Illich says, it is also creating a kind of de-schooled society. What is a de-schooled society? A society in which everything comes through smart technology and not about the real awareness and the real education, the textbook education, which means now there is no more need to have a proper institutional school because most socialization is happening in terms of technology. And hence, it is also creating a very, very unequal society where the rulers, as we said, are either the knowledge or the techie elites or the telemigrants. And those who are not a part of this technological revolution are left way behind. Apart from that, there is no privacy because all the social media platforms, all the companies which we are using for e-commerce purpose or for social connectivity, they are taking away our personal data. We are nothing but targeted customers for them, which means there is hardly any privacy. From the map navigation to the restaurant from which you order food, your database, your purchase history, everything gets recorded. And this is quite dangerous because it means that there is hardly any privacy and the population of a country can be so easily mapped in the case of a problem with cybersecurity law. So now summing up the entire long topic in a nut graph, what did we speak about? We spoke about what was industrialization, its definition, how from family as a means of production, we changed into a factory means of production, creating also a division of labor on the lines of gender, on the lines of age. Then we spoke about some preconditions of industrialization. Okay. Then we spoke in India. How did we evolve into the modern industrial sector? We spoke about the handicraft and the artisan system before the British came in the Mughal and the Mauryan period. We spoke about how British came and did the deindustrialization of India and reverse migration. Then we spoke about how British laid the network of some industries like railways and telegraphs for administrative convenience. We spoke about a situation where India's agriculture and industry both declined in the face of colonialism. Then we spoke about the independence period and how we began with a very, very socialistic mixed economy kind of plan strategy. We spoke about the problems with it which led us into the 1991 economic crisis. Then we spoke about the LPG reform or the economic policy and what ups and downs we experienced as an economy. What impact did it have on our culture? We read about social change across caste, across family, across stratification system, across political system. Then we spoke about the ecological and the populist critiques of industrialization. Then we came to Nehruvian and Gandhian ideologies on industry. How are they different from each other? Where do they match from each other? We also, in the process, studied the classical sociological theory of industrialization, which is Marx, Durkheim, and Weber. Then we spoke about the modern post-industrial society, the weightless economy, the knowledge economy, the 5D revolution, globalization wave fifth, industrialization wave fourth. We spoke about governance initiatives some of the Udyog Bharat, its features, and again we did a small critique of it in terms of how has it impacted our society and culture. With this, let us see whether we can handle some prospective questions from this. For example, can we talk about, give a sociological analysis of the preconditions necessary for an industrial society. Now, if you remember, we absolutely covered this topic and we read that there are certain important preconditions needed for an industrial society to take shape. We just need to enlist those here. But to begin with, we must also define in very few words what is industrialization. Similarly, in another question here, it directly asks you what is the post-industrial society? This means the society that changes from only creating goods to now creating services. It is a society which is based on intellectual or knowledge skill. We would also say that this is the weightless or the knowledge economy. Then we need to criticize it and say some things in favor. For the functional analysis, we just did a discussion on how it helps in finding better employment, how it makes life easy, how is it applicable in the medical sector, how does it help in better connected society. Similarly, we spoke about the problems that in a society where there is huge social inequality already, how it hampers the people who are left behind from modern education and technical education from coming and participating in the smart technology society. How we have the faulty education system which disables many of us to use this kind of technology. How it leads to ageism. How could it lead to gender bias? What are the problems with blue collar workers who are working in GIG economies? How this is a society which is completely stratified on the basis of knowledge and intellect. On the top, you have the techno and the knowledge elites and the tele-migrants. And then in the end, you have those who are still doing the blue collar job, even if they are doing a digital work, but still they are blue collar because of lack of appropriate skill and knowledge. Then can we discuss the question, what is Industry 4 or Industrialization 4th wave? We already discussed what it means. It means a society that's completely triggered by the data revolution, a society which is now becoming a service-oriented society, a society which is now adopting smart technology and it is using Internet of Things in daily applications. And various social institutions, how are they impacted by it? So definitely we can talk about family. I spoke to you about the structural and functional changes in the family. We can definitely talk about the position of women here. How from a situation of family control to now we are seeing much more empowerment. We can also talk about the new GIG platforms which have changed the work structure from working in office to work from home. Plus, we can also talk about how it impacts the institution of caste. How are we moving towards an achieved status from an ascribed status? Then, what are the certain initiatives of Indian government or the government to harness, which means to utilize the advantage of Industry 4? So please do talk about the Skill India mission here. Please do talk about the Atmanirbhar Bharat here. Please do talk about the Samarth Udyog mission that we spoke about right now. Please do talk about the Digital India mission here. Please do talk about the new education policy and how it gives emphasis on vocational training, self-employment, and creating a self-sufficient economy once again. So all these things can be discussed here to give examples of how government is contributing towards Industry 4.0. With this, we come to an end of this session. Do practice all the PYQs based on this particular topic to have a better understanding of how much conceptual clarity you have on these. With this, thank you so much.